If you could coach every agent in America for 5 minutes, what's the one thing you would tell them?
Like, why are you doing this? What do you
Yeah.
want to get out of this? What do you want? Literally, like, stop being comfortable. Step back. Remember why you got into this in the first place. Did you want to be one of those like mediocre agents selling 6 homes a year with a polyester suit and a glamour shot that's 30 years old? Let's be a part of the new guard. Let's be an actual entrepreneur, not just a slave to a job. Anyone can go have a job. Like, let's have it, not just a career, but businesses, wealth, legacy.
I'm honored to be your host for this inaugural episode because today we're introducing not only the podcast, but the vision behind it. My name is Marci, and I've had the privilege of working alongside Jen Marie for more than 6 years. During that time, I've experienced firsthand what so many agents have experienced under Jen's leadership, an unwavering commitment to helping people become better professionals, stronger leaders, and more fulfilled individuals. Jen leads with consistency, generosity, high standards, and a genuine desire to see people succeed. That kind of leadership isn't common in our industry. Today, she leads the iconic home team and has been recognized by Real Trends among the top real estate teams in the country, serves as a national coach and mentor. If you asked anyone who has worked closely with her what makes Jen different, I don't think that they would start with those awards or numbers. They tell you about her heart for people. They tell you about the way that she challenges people to think bigger than transactions and productions. They tell you she believes real estate is simply the vehicle, not the destination. That's exactly why this episode exists. Today, I want you to meet the leader behind the vision and introduce you to iconic agent living.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know you were going to say all that. So, I love you guys.
All of this is so true, and you have made such a huge difference, not only in my life, but in so many of the agents that are on the team. I want to welcome everyone to the very first episode of Iconic Agent Living. And Jen, for those who are just meeting you for the first time, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about you outside of real estate.
I would love to back up because the way we met was like fate, and it's like it really exemplifies like who I am, but who we are. And so it was 2019. It was a year after I got sober, and I saw Marci had shared. I didn't know her, but somehow she popped into my feed sharing your sober story. And you had been in fitness for a while. You were down the sober path, and I had just gotten to fitness, and I remember. And it's sometimes hard to say it without tears, but I remember your story literally made me cry. I was like, oh my gosh, I'd love to meet you. And so we met at Starbucks. You were like flipping homes, and you were calling, you were raising kids, and you were getting flips, but it was a lot of work. I was like, Marci, get your real estate license. With what you're doing and your hustle, you can do anything. And what was it, your first year was like 36 homes?
I remember people telling me, hey, get prepared not to close anything your first year. And I remember that message you sent me, and it like totally touched my heart, and I was like so like proud of you just to be on that journey. So, and here we are today, like in 2026, and just locking arms and building together. So
No, I love that. So yeah, a little bit about me. I always like to start from the beginning. I grew up in Riverside, California. Wasn't exactly the land of opportunity. Humble beginnings, like loving, we never had to worry about money or, paying the bills or food on the table, but we didn't have a lot of money extra to do anything fun. Like our vacations were like camping or going to the Grand Canyon. Some of the worst part, one of my biggest traumas was that my mom was so cheap, she wouldn't even let me get a Diet Coke when we went out to dinner twice a year. And I'm like, I want to live in a world where I could have as many Diet Cokes as I ever wanted. So yeah, I was always ambitious. I wanted to like be an entrepreneur. I wanted to publish my own magazine. I wanted to do big things. And I wasn't like the other kids at school. I didn't understand why people didn't want to talk about their futures and history and art and science. But I always had big dreams. So, fast forward, I was 18. I got out of Riverside to go to college. And a month in, I found out I was pregnant. So, fashion college was probably not the best avenue to money that will help me provide for my, daughter now. And so, I had to make it work. I worked at Starbucks. I was making $600 a month pregnant, but I always had big dreams. So I went to college. That was always like now I wouldn't say plan B, it was more like plan Z. I think we all have had so many horrible managers. One in particular for me was a restaurant manager they just hired from Plantation to the fine dining restaurant we worked at. He took a rock band night where I was making $200 to $300 a night back in 1998, to karaoke night where people sat at tables and tipped me $5 for 4 hours. So I decided to raise my hand at the public company meeting, and I got fired. So I'm like, you guys, look at your profit margins. Anyone would know if I'm getting $5, you guys aren't getting much more than that. So I saved all my money, and I was gonna open up a tanning salon, which is great. Like, real estate was probably a little better industry to get in. This was back before all the radiation news and all that. But I had the money. I was pricing it out as an entrepreneur, right? So then we had two acquaintances that were flipping homes here in Arizona. I lived in Huntington Beach, and my rent was like $1,700 a month for like a older 70s home, a little outdated, close to the beach. So I'm like trying to raise a girl, and I was a sole income owner. To raise a daughter, was like not cheap in Orange County. So, I jumped in, obviously got my license every day, scraped the MLS, made 15 offers every day. I loved Craigslist. So I quickly got on Craigslist. I was only 4 months in the industry. So I got my license in October of 2003. On Thanksgiving that year, I got a call on one of my listings, and I was like, seriously? That's so rude. And then I was like, but I just did the math. That's like $15,000 commission. I don't want to lose that. So I hired an assistant, right? Said 80-20. I keep 80, you keep 20, you do all the things I don't want to do. So I was able to leverage quick. I got in, I sold 46 homes my first year. The second year in, I think I sold about 72. However, I also developed like luxury homes. I bought 8 properties that year. Was it 12 luxury homes? I thought we were sitting on like 5 or 6 million in profits at least. Things were going good. I still lived beneath my means. I did buy a nice home and have nice cars and, be able to take nice vacations. But I didn't, I wasn't splurging. I wasn't buying Louis Vuitton. So I thought I was doing the right things. I thought I was putting my money in like wise investments. And then we all know what happened in 2008. Pretty much I had to torch everything. And it was financially devastating. By then, I already had 3 kids. I have 4 kids now. And, my home was 2 weeks away from going into foreclosure. I was going in and helping people short sell, knowing exactly what they were going through because I was going through it. And it's very shameful. It's very scary. Not knowing, I would have a closing delay, and I wouldn't be able to pay my mortgage. It was not a way to live, but it taught me a lot. I lost everything. I dealt with foreclosure. I was millions of dollars in debt with selling. I think I made $60,000 in 2007. So it got scary. My alcoholism got really bad. However, what I learned is, first of all, you got to be around better people. I was a lone island. If I had known what was coming, I wouldn't have done all that dumb stuff, all the investing, and I would have been in REOs and short sales about 9 months before I actually got in. And I already did pretty decent at REOs and short sales. However, I would be the #1 REO agent in town if I would have been around the right people, back then. So I learned a lot. And I also learned you have to be on the forefront of the trends. I was behind. So when the market changed, my pants were all the way down. And so pushing past that, in 2008, when I started to get these REOs and short sales, I started doing video. Video on like the deals, video on like the neighborhoods, just really drilling down on relocation buyer videos and educational videos. So that was back in 2008 when it really wasn't that popular. And then I couldn't afford an assistant, like an American assistant. So I got a VA, and they were doing like helping me out with BPOs, like listings, like Craigslist ads, like blogging. Blogging was intense too. So I was able to just be in like sales and appointments and calls and follow up. So I was able to leverage and not have a big team. So that was 2011. So 2011 came, I was blogging, I was on the forefront. I got a Google pay-per-click ad. It was actually a blog ad. Didn't cost me anything. Was an investor who flew me out to his operations there. He expanded his operations here, and I helped him flip 60 homes that year, which is 120 transactions. And so for each listing, I maximized it. I was like, for every listing, I need to have 2 or 3 pieces of business. I was using professional photos way back, this is 2011 and 12, and really showcasing not the house, but the neighborhood. So again, I'm like marketing, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, especially with my listings, just like I know you are. But really back in 2013, I really got intentional about hiring a coach, like being a part of a coaching organization. Not just having some friends in the industry, but literally being like, what better rooms can I put myself in? So in 2014, at that point, been following the Gary Keller model. I had a full-time assistant. They were doing very great. I hired a marketing assistant, and then I hired Marcia. So Marcia came on, Craigslist ad. Back then, my systems were like, hey, a Zillow lead came into my email. I'm going to forward it to you. Now obviously we have like follow up on us and text, where it went straight through. But so I hired Marcia. We, she saw this crazy vision of mine, and then we went for like a small boutique brokerage. I'm like, hey, we're gonna take this luxury market over. Okay, I already have the buyers. Now we're gonna expand to listings, and we need to be with a big brand. So we were with Remax, had a great office in a great area in North Scottsdale. So we quickly went to 5 agents, but not a lot of agent count back then. It was a little better, but these were all full-time, good producing agents. We went every single team meeting, every thing they went through. They were all converting agents, but I hit a wall. And it was 5 agents. I was still full-time in production. My team was actually not that profitable when I went through all the expenses and time and management. And I was like, I need help. So actually, my mentors, Kyle Whistle and Dan Beer, this is back way before EXP what it was today. It was, I think it was right around Valentine's Day in 2018. And these guys had already been my mentors. I already had great relationships with them. They included me in masterminds when I was like the lowest performing agent in the room there. So I already respected them, and I'm like, I know you wouldn't just make this decision lightly. And so we did a 3-way Zoom, and a week later I said yes. And I took the big leap, and 30 days over, my license was activated. My new office was all built out. They actually moved me. My team moved me over while I was on a cruise. It was great. But, that was 2018. I quickly went through I think I grew my admin team to 6 people and my agents to 17. I was a spending freak back then. I was like, if I like you, you have a role on my team. So, I was doing a lot of things right, but I was doing a lot of things wrong, right? But every year I've been with this organization, every year that I've poured into learning about how being a better leader, how to run a more successful business, how to be a better with your money and all these skills I learned for myself, I'm able to pass it on to other people. And since then we are the number 1 right now. We're teetering between number 2, and all of you.
We are the number 1. I want to back up real quick. So when did you come to Arizona? Was that in 03? So you got your first. So you were a waitress in Riverside, and then you got your 2 first flips here in Phoenix.
Yeah, so it was kind of a crazy time right around. So I was in finals, and I was just like, hey, I'm just gonna finish college. I know I'm already invested in there. I'm not gonna do anything with this, but I'm just right there. So because we made the decision in 30 days. So we heard about this opportunity. We went out to Arizona, and we were gone in 30 days.
Wow.
So I had to. Yeah, so I'm I'm a risk taker, I'm adventurous, I'm impulsive sometimes, but if I feel it in my gut, and I've always believed in myself, I've always believed that I can do this, everything I want. Which is on a side note, me and Justin were talking last week. He's like, did you always want to be in leadership? I didn't. He's like, I did not think I was signing up for this. And I was like, yeah. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I was like, yeah, when I was a kid, I was like, I want to tell people what to do. But like now I know it's not like that, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting thinking. I mean, when you were a waitress, you know, what was that, 20 some years ago, 20 plus years ago, did you ever think that you would be the #1 EXP team in Arizona?
No, I thought I was going to be the #1 in the world. But
Hey,
okay,
you are on your way there. You've got grit, determination, the passion, yeah, and you're super savvy with systems and leadership. So, I mean, I don't doubt that.
Yeah, you know, Elon Musk is, he's like, you know, going to colonize like the moon and then Mars, and then, you know, he said multiple planet galaxy in his lifetime. But I was like, hey, what if we like launched EXP like on the moon? You know, wouldn't that be cool? But no, I see, like, I obviously wrote a book on it, but I was obsessed with systems. And literally not just in my business life, but so in my personal life. Like, for instance, I am meeting, we call it a business and future plan, with my 19-year-old daughter and her boyfriend. And we're sitting down, we're going through where they're at now, what are their goals, what do they need to focus on, and like deadlines, and how do we track success. Literally everything I do in like our coaching with our agents, I just took it over in this document. So I literally met with the first time last month. They got the documents, and now we're going to review them together. And now every month we're like meeting to make sure we're on track. So there's systems in business, there's systems in personal. I'm a master leverager. You know, I love to work. I'm obsessed, but I only want to do the things I want to do. You know?
Yeah.
So I will find a way to leverage out the best, and that includes at home. I'm probably the best cleaner in Cave Creek. However, I'm gonna have a cleaner come over and do the 5-6 hours with all the bullet points that, you know, I want. You know, because I'm gonna either prospect or, you know, maybe I just want a day out. But yeah, there's systems for everything. Being a waitress, everything was a system. Within 2 minutes, you greet, even if you have to drop plates off and say, I'll be right back. Then you get drinks. You go, every time you go to the kitchen, you do everything that you need for all your tables. You come back. You never do one table at a time. You know, you always like look at the lady first, you know, in the eyes, and smile first. And, you know, there's just a lot that goes into, you know, the systems. So yeah, I kind of go on tangents, but I think that's what we said we're going to do today, right?
Yes. No, I absolutely love it. So looking back over the last 2 decades in this industry, what would you say you're most proud of?
Oh gosh, that's hard. It's not that like there's so many things. It's just like I'm always looking to the future. You know,
is there like a transaction? Is there like a milestone? Obviously, you've got to be proud of the business that you've grown. Or is there something that's more personal, maybe? Is there something that's more personal that you're really proud of that over the last 2 decades that you've accomplished?
You know, yes, but I will say myself is always second. Literally the only thing, well, besides surrendering to God to get my sobriety, but the thing that is really emphasized, like why I've been able to be, you know, now 8 years, was that I said I would promise back to pay it forward to others. So yes, you got to take care of home base first. Your family, your business, it always has to come first. But that's not, like, money is not this, it's never been my goal. I look at my P&Ls now and stuff, but I've never been like one commission at a time or one agent at a time. But I'm looking at like, we're going to build big together. You know, I want to be involved with your lives for like ever, you know, it's just like you. Yeah. But it's like every year we have to build bigger. So it's really been not just seeing agents sell more and more homes, you know, it's actually what it means. And I've seen, you know, some of our agents that just got married or having kids, buying their first homes. Katie, brand new agent, doing so good, just bought her first home. She's what, 22, 23? So hardworking, so good. I'm proud of other people, you know, like I've just been a spark. I've just been part of it, you know. It's all of us, you know, it's all of us together. It's not just me. So, you know, I'm proud of my husband. But if I actually look at myself and say, what are you proud of most, Jen? I would say my strength. I know you know my journey, you know, the last 4 years, there's been, you know, kind of a little public going on there, but, you know, very like I would say, even though there's been a lot of challenging times in my life, that has been the most. I know you too have been going through your own health journey. So it's me being able to come back, I'm not like just a cockroach that comes back after anything, because I am. But no, I am like a phoenix, you know, I die, reborn, and I only come back stronger and stronger. So, and, you I would not be able to do that. I always have to give credit where credit's due. And of course, God, has been my walk with God. I was off the path, back before, I finally had that dark night of the soul and knew I needed God finally. But since I surrendered, I've really learned not just to trust God, but to trust myself. Because a lot of times I feel like we get self-doubt because we're just relying on ourselves and we don't believe sometimes it's just like, I don't want to cry. Stop. But I hear God's voice and it says, child, I got you. And he's got all of us, and it's hard. It's a leap of faith, but you've got to give your, I'm giving it over to you, God, take the fear away and, give me the courage. And I promise I will stop crying soon, so make me laugh.
No, you got me getting tears too, because I can completely relate to that. And I know you, and I know your heart. And I know how generous you are. I mean, just literally me watching you from the outside of what you've gone through. I mean, typically that would take someone down. So God has definitely been carrying you through this entire way. So, but thank you for not quitting. Thank you for continuing the vision for everyone that we have here in the office and as we grow nationwide, because this is definitely a vehicle for us all. There's many things that from your help, from you taking me under your wing in 2020 has completely changed my life. So I'm just super grateful for you. Let's go. Go ahead.
I will say that, so going through those hard times, it was sometimes it was just morning came and it's the last thing I want to do is get out of bed. The thing that got me out of bed was my team at that point. Of course, I had to show up for my family. But if I didn't go to work and show up and do my part, I would feel like I was letting everyone else down and helping other people feel selfishly good, So I'm literally it gave me purpose. It fulfilled me. And it really helps me really, I have stepped back in the background these last, few years, really instead of doing my own production, pouring into all of you at a much higher level. And, it's showing up for other people is just so much more powerful than showing up for yourself, and since then we've grown exponentially, right? And not just in agent count, but agent quality,
Yes. Yes.
And been able to grow these lifelong. I wouldn't have been able, it's not even just business wise, but with you, with so many of our agents, that's how I knew I had good people on my side, because you guys always had my back. You guys were always there when I needed a ear to cry to. I don't know how many times you've heard me cry, but no, it's all of us together. It's what does Helen Keller say? Alone we could do so little, together we could do so much.
Yeah.
And I am absolute, believer in that.
That is so true. Let's go a little the heart behind the brand. Let's talk a little bit about the heart behind the brand. You've built an incredible business, but you've always talked about building a life, not just a career. Because I remember stalking you on Facebook after you reached out to me, and just seeing you. There was a time when you were in your Suburban and your Jagan was with you, and just. You were showing a home, but you were a mom and you were building this incredible business. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is what I want. So you've just been such an inspiration. So what is, because you always talk about building a life, not just a career. So where did you get that?
I've always believed in it's the way I think, of course, the more money, the nicer home. I love a nice, beautiful home. Being able to take really nice vacations. But also the more money you have, the more money you can give away. The more money you have, the more time you could put into helping people in your community at a greater level, right? And so I've always been a big legacy, always, from the very, I was always perplexed, because in this day and age, I feel like we've gotten away from having the family, the grandparents, the great-grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins. When I grew up, we were very matriarchal. The women, in our lineage, ran the families. And when they died, sadly, it's so many of our traditions, went away. We haven't seen our cousins in decades. And I'm what is our family even about? What are our core values? Because so many of my immigrant friends that I know, they know what they stand for, what their family stands for. And so I'm like the most anybody in my family has made is like $75,000. And like my grandparents came from poverty and they were able to do a little bit better, but they all had jobs. They were all slaves. Work till you're 65, then live off Social Security, and hopefully you have some equity in your house. And I'm like, I don't want to live like that. And I always wanted kids, but I also knew like I wanted to have freedom. Freedom is huge for me. You know, freedom, and I will work till the day I die. It's going to be a little different, but I want to live too, you know, and live bigger. You know, I always keep thinking, how can I keep things bigger? And the bigger I think, the bigger, you know, minds I have around me, and the bigger we can build together. So, you know, it's, yes, financially, you know, having multiple streams of income, truly running a business, finding what you love to do and what you're good to do, finding what fulfills you, and then finding the meaning of your life. And I mean that, like, what does this all mean at the end of the day? Which, by the way, one of the best books I just recently discovered, and I literally can't stop talking about, is The Meaning of Your Life by Arthur Brooks. It really hit home. And he actually talks about how strivers, he's a Harvard professor, how his strivers and, you know, the ambitious people, like say Michael Phelps, you know, they're the most susceptible to like depression because they don't have like, what does it mean at the day? I already won. You know, I already have this, but what does it mean? And so if you really internalize, like, what does it mean? And I'm also a big Napoleon Hill fan, which if you guys don't know, Andrew Carnegie, you know, he had to work for Andrew Carnegie for 20 years studying all of, you know, the billionaires and, you know, multimillionaires back then over the world and coming up with the principles and values. But Andrew Carnegie Napoleon Hill just doesn't just talk about like financial security, because once you have financial security, you can focus on growing as a person and you can go get therapy, you can go help your community. But when you don't know how you're going to pay the bills, you can't. But what's more important, you know, than the money is what kind of health does that provide for you? What kind of wealth does that provide for you and your family? You know, can you pass down generational wealth, and also with that wealth be like, hey, this is what our family stands for. And giving back, you know, serving the community is a big, you know, core value of mine. You know, that I don't want to just have it exist in my business, but to exist at my home. So I'm all into ancestry and history and like where our lineages come from, you know, and really think that it's you know, health, it's wealth, it's impact, but also it's fun. You know, like life is an adventure, all the hard, all the good, you know, if we view it as like a true adventure, because it really is. You know, it's like, it's not just like, what can I achieve, but like, it's like, who can I be? So
I love that, because you always have this like childlike play about you. Doing gymnastics, always, you know, that's what I love about you, your energy. So the name of this podcast is Iconic Agent Living. What does Iconic Agent Living actually mean? Like, what inspired this name?
I will tell you, first of all, it was based on like everything I said. It's like Iconic embraces everything that I was saying about wealth, health, fun, happiness, you know, fulfillment, you know, meaning. That is Iconic. But also I'll have to tell you, yes, sometimes some marketing and SEO and research to see if the domains are available and that, you know, our agents like it. And really there's like a lot of names that are like really good that are already out there. So I found like it was like at a mastermind table, Lauren Rosen, one of my business partners, is like, what about Iconic? I'm like, yeah, let's go. So that has been such a game changer, because you know, one of the visions I have with you guys is like, hey, I don't want this to be my face. I want this to be your business. I want you to build, you know, your brand. So it's like with the vision of that, it's like with Jen Marie, you know, you're like, hey, Marci with Jen Marie, it's still me, you know, but with Iconic, it's like we all can say we're on Iconic and Align and we're all business partners. It's no like the Jen show, you know? And so since then, like our agents have like been so excited. I've never had so much like team spirit together and online. And so it's been one of the best decisions I've made in my business in a really long time. So I wish I would have just started there, you know, instead of the Wiener Group, you know, pre-divorce, you know? But yeah, Iconic is definitely better than the Wiener Group.
I love it. I know we all love it. It's something we can represent well. So when you picture an agent who's truly living an iconic agent life, what does that look like? What habits do they have? How do they lead? How do they live?
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of people. First you. With your health journey, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. Being as healthy as you can. But like you work hard. You're very competitive, but you're also one of the best team players, ever. Like you're always optimistic. You're always willing to help. You are such a great mom to your kids. And you're just such a good person. You bring good energy wherever you go. And with that, like, I love how you keep thinking bigger and like your goals and like, you love collaboration. And you literally said you were excited to do this podcast with me. I'm like, really? I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you.
I was so excited, so honored. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have so much fun, me and Jen.
But also, like, let's see, Marcia, my very first agent, she was able to pay off. Like, she went through similar things. She was a big developer back in 05 and 06 and lost everything, so she had to rebuild it back. Seeing her rebuild it back, pay off her debt, buy her, dream home again, being able to see her raise her 2 grandkids now. I met her daughter when she was young, and now she's a grandma, and she's seen me raise now 4 kids. And so it's been able to see that. It's been cool. Now she has time. She's built a great book of business. Now she can go fly to Texas to see her daughter and grandkids. And then I think about Lala, who's literally in Montegrano in Europe, which is gorgeous. She goes there for like 4 to 6 weeks every summer and still sells homes while she's gone, and she's built up multiple streams of income, and being able to build with, you guys. And I can go on, about like what an agent's iconic life is. But it's like, for me, it's like helping you guys to discover yourselves, helping you guys to discover like your joy, like what kind of things, activities, like goals, like what kind of impact do you want to have in your business and in the world.
I love that. I know, I remember in the past, because both of us are just so big on mindset and just growing and just wanting to be a better person. And I remember in the past, some of the agents were like, why do we do so much mindset stuff here? Like, this is real estate. And it's like, really, the more you can grow yourself, the more people you can serve. And yes, it all comes back to you, right? The more.
You know what, too? That shifted, especially when I stopped drinking and I got all into like health, spirituality and all that stuff. I used to just be like, hey, just tell me what to do. I'm already motivated. I don't need your little mindset stuff. And like how wrong I am. Like, I don't know, sometimes when I call you, I'm like, hey, quick 20-minute phone call or 10-minute. And then 2 hours later, we're talking about all the books. I'll tell you, and you literally go buy it. And you call me, and I'm like, oh, it's already up in my Amazon cart.
Oh my gosh, I love being able to throw that stuff back and forth. That's you really talking about Lala and Marcia. You really answered one of the next questions. Is you've always said success isn't just measured by production. How do you define success today? You can expand on that, but really listening to Lala's story, listening to Marcia's story. Obviously, I'm sure that's the same with you, is you feel great when you're seeing your agents succeed, and in return, you're succeeding, right? They're building their life. But do you have anything to add on to that?
About like, kind of like a legacy or kind of like a mission?
Yeah, so like, how do you define success today? Because it's not by production. But so how do you define success today?
If you're not ambitious, not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur, right? But if you're not ambitious, meaning you're not wanting to push yourself to more levels and being growth oriented, that's going to stunt you. And I've seen very smart people that can be very smart in their trade, but they're emotionally and intelligent, and that makes them stupid. And the thing is, like, not everybody is going to be Einstein, but everybody has a capacity to learn and grow and be the best versions of themselves. So success is, first of all, who you become in life. What does it mean? Are you pushing yourself? Like, are you reaching goals? Creating financial security should be a goal for everybody, right? Like, that should not just be an entrepreneur goal. Like, and you need to have a plan. If you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to retire, Social Security will pay me. Well, hopefully they can. But if they pay me,
that's scary.
Like the $1,200 a month, is it gonna give you the lifestyle? And if you think about it for agents, like an agent's doing good, they make $300,000-$400,000 a year, and they're like, great. Like, when do you want to retire? Do you want to retire at 94 and you fall on the patio while you're showing a house and you die? Or do you want to be able to vacation, spend time with your grandkids, I'm like, they're like, yeah. So I'm like, maybe 60 years old. I'm like, great. How old are you now? 45. Okay, yeah, 15 years. How much in passive income are you making right now? Nothing. I'm like, or they have one investment property they make $500 a month at. I'm like, great. Like, how much do you need to like pay for your lifestyle? 30,000. Okay, I'll just buy investment properties. Okay, great. Like, how much do you need to put down to buy your first investment property? Great, 80, 20%, 400,000. So you need 80 grand. How much do you have now? 50 grand, 60 grand. Okay, great. It would take you like another 6 months, to grow another, to get that money to go make $500 a month, $700 a month. It's like, so you have to think in terms of like, how am I building a business? Am I creating multiple streams of income? Do I have financial security? Because without that, we cannot like grow. If we're always worried, we cannot grow, right? And then it's, within finding that meaning is like, how are you showing up for your family? Are you being a present mom? I think we've all been guilty, especially as agents. We get so busy and, mom shame, for so how many from us. But like, even sometimes when you're spending time with our kids, maybe we weren't fully present because we're worried about that really challenging client that was calling you and like stealing your joy when you saw their phone number come through. So I know it's hard, but it's like, without my family, I'm nothing, and it's like, if I'm not happy at home, I'm never going to be happy in my professional life. So creating happiness. And I know happiness is kind of generic. You will probably, the more you talk to me, the more books that are going to come out of my mouth, but the best, like in a different category, the best other book I discovered in the last 2 months was the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, which, if anybody knows, he's from the slums in India, self-made billionaire, and he was very famous for a tweet storm back in the day where, kind of like Napoleon Hill, where he was spelling out wealth principles, like what we need to do. And but what made it a little controversial, which is kind of weird, it's controversial, but he also spelled out like happiness, because a lot of scientists or money wizards aren't supposed to be talking about like spirituality, but like it was really meaningful on like talking about like the wealth principles, but also how to like have happiness in your life. And I will say one of the top 4 tactical trends that he's saying right now, which are going to help agents build passive income, is, are we taking advantage of technology, AI, systems? Because if you're on the forefront of that, like, yes, you can take your, like, where else are you going to, leverage? Are you going to leverage capital? Like, say you put money in the stock market. Is it real estate? Or, he says the biggest opportunity is to go in on technology. And again, our team uses AI at a high level. And if you are not on the forefront of these trends, like 6 to 9 months before, like you're already way past the 8 ball. So if you're like late to the game on ChatGPT, if you are late to the game on Claude, now it's like with Follow Up Boss, if you're late to the game on Batter or Sunburst, like you're behind the 8 ball. But if you want to get market share, we're in a very Darwinistic time, okay? Like the big are getting bigger. And if you are not like surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you, that are like, this is what's working on Claude, like literally being like, this is what we need to do to live in the future, just like Elon Musk. And Elon Musk knows a few things or two.
Yeah. You know what? I wanted to just touch on that, because you are definitely super savvy when it comes to systems. And I know you have an amazing leadership team here. But I don't think everybody, I know that there's a lot of like maybe solo agents out there, or a lot of people on, maybe other teams that have not experienced the back end. Because what I can say is I appreciate how much you guys pour into the back end so that we're front end facing with our clients. And when I did some private coaching in 2021 and I saw all that back end stuff, I was like, good Lord, like that is a lot. So we appreciate you guys doing all that for us. That's a whole.
Shelby DiBiase, a partner team leader on our team, the first time she said the thing that stood out the first time I met with her, I was like, look, Shelby, you may be a better agent than me. I can tell you hands down, I run a better business than you. And so, yeah, most successful agents, they're good agents, right? They know how to sell homes. They love it. But what most of them suck at, and not only just suck at, they don't want to do. It's not in their wheelhouse. They're not like obsessed with it, is like the operations. And I am a very weird team leader who is like 6 to 8 Zooms a day, sometimes knee deep in operations. And yeah, I'm obsessed about it. So instead of like for a solo agent, and I don't care if you're a team, we have a very unique model that we have, you know, super high level agents. We are also able to bring new agents on as apprentices and move them up. But we're also have a pathway in our team to grow own teams within our team, which allows us to you know, they might be able to get follow-up boss. We have 9 staff members managing all of our systems. We built everything out with all the integrations, all the money that they would have to add on, and you know, it would take them 10 years to build what we have today, you know? So it's like, yeah, the bigger already getting bigger. Solo agents are gonna like get squeezed out. And you know, most agents that like, you know, come in, it's what, 87%, 78% in 2 years never renew their license. Most of them are lazy, and I'm just gonna say that straight up. But there are a lot of good agents right now that are having to exit the industry because they're either an agent with a, you know, brokerage, which brokerages cannot offer the value like teams can, right? Especially for new agents, but especially for experienced agents, because now experienced agents, again, they're really great at selling homes. They do not spend time with their database system, staying in touch with the database, having touch points, having like the whole escrow experience. You know, they are stuck trying to wear all the hats, right? But we hire and train and manage our staff at such a high level that our agents can leverage off that. So instead of thinking like, okay, a commission split for a team, it's called a commission share. And you know, if I can get you to 50 deals and you can sell 3 in 1 year, would you be happy to pay me 50%? Or, you know, you can take on my, you know, $150,000 a month in expenses if you would like to make, you know, the same 50. But, you know, in any case, yeah, the agents that see the big picture, you know, there are agents that aren't good fit for it. You know, if you're not like, you're more like you run a solo shop, you like to fly solo, you're not a big collaborator, you know, you're not super motivated. You like to do some things, but you just, you know, your personal life is more important to you. You know, it's like, yeah, probably our team is not for the faint of heart. I'll say that right now. I'm like, if you're like, wow, that's a lot, then I'm like, yeah, it probably is too much for you. It's okay. So yeah, we want the Navy SEAL team. You don't want to know, like when another agent sees like the iconic team and they're like, oh no, I wonder which imbecile I have now. It's like, it's the last thing I want.
Well, you know what? And when they see the iconic home team, they're going to know we have like the best fast track for new agents that come in. They get trained, you know, and all the training is absolutely excellent, just like all the tools and stuff, so that they can go out in the field and be successful. So I will say that, you know, seeing people come in from that to be able to set them up for success, I think that's such a huge. We didn't have that when I first started. Luckily, you took me under your wing, but now, like, you know, being able to mentor some of those that came out when we had the mentorship program, I was like, this is incredible.
I will say, you know what? Back to like when you asked me what I'm proud of, that's what I can say I was proud of. So in the last 2 months, I went and took a deep dive, torched our entire new agent and experienced agent training and onboarding, completely rebuilt it, and I was able to fast track that with, of course, my own time and energy and pure like obsession by the end of the day. But with our staff, we were able to fast track that, our online training, our in-person. So last week I did our first, it's all new agents and experienced agents, a 1-day boot camp. We are starting with once a month, but I think we're already going to do twice a month. It was the most successful boot camp onboarding session we've ever had. So instead of like drawing the process out, I'm like, hey, 7 hours, we're going to be together. It's going to be tactical. It's going to be practical. I'm going to open up your mind. You're going to meet each other. We're going to have so much fun. You're going to take away and learn a lot in the fastest time possible. So I was just seeing agents be like, this was so great, and seeing our experienced agents that are already on our team selling homes showing up. I was like, damn, I'm good, Jen. You know, it's like, sometimes it's hard for me because I'm only thinking about what I can do better. I'm not a pat on the back person. I'm like, tell it to me for real. If I did something good, tell me what I did good, but, you know, tell me what I sucked at. Like, you know, I like the last thing I want to do. I think I was telling you last week, I'm like, if I have a booger in my nose, tell me. If I botched it, like, I want to know, you know?
You've probably like cringed with all the great things that I've been saying, but they're all true. And I know I'm one of those people that I get uncomfortable too. My lip starts quivering when someone talks nice about me. I'm like, oh God, stop quivering. So I get it too. I love serving. I love helping. But then like, it's like, oh God, don't look at me.
I think that's like a 7 Enneagram thing. I don't know.
That must be. Yeah. Okay. So one thing I've experienced over the past 6 years is your consistency as a leader. What leadership principles have never changed for you?
Yeah, let's see. I'll start with our core values. Curiosity. I would say, like, if you probably can come up with one word, if you know me, probably it's going to be curiosity. And it's not even just in real estate. Like, I'm a polymath, if you know me, which just means that I am interested in like 67 different subjects at any given time. Archaeology, astronomy, history, art, science. Like currently I'm going through an Albert Einstein and Marcus Aurelius obsession, but the Roman Empire one starts at a podcast, hour 3 in, about Roman and the Eastern Roman Empire. Again, it's like I tie these patterns and I apply that curiosity like everywhere, right? And also like playing big, challenging yourself, teamwork, giving back to the community. Those are kind of the core values that, I want to list my, lead by example with. I'm a very structured person. I need everything from my business and the personal life planned. Every day, I want to be very intentional with what I'm doing. Every week, I have 3 key rocks, and then every quarter, I have 3 key rocks. Not 4, 5, 6, 7, but 3 priorities. Like, so for this podcast, for example, a lot of agents would just record an episode or 2 and throw it on there. We have been intense planning with our we have 4 of our team members on the podcast project. We're batching 12. We've already, all of our marketing's in place. We have the teasers, we have the clips, we have the bios everywhere. So when we launch, we're going to be super strong. This is going to be consistent. But again, this is one of my top 3 key pillars, right? So I'm also intentional about each team member, my administrative team, my operations team has their 3 projects. My organization chart, I know exactly who reports to what. I can see like if there's any bottlenecks, if there's any positions we can eliminate or which ones we can add. But these are all structured. I run my business off traction. So every week we have our leadership meeting. So I always know where my business is at, right? Inspect what you expect. Every day, know where you're spending your time. If you aren't living by your calendar, it's like, show me your calendar, I'll show you your paycheck. And if you're not staying true to your calendar. So maybe you put appointments on there, but you have no idea like what activities you were doing, were you prospecting, were you following up, like how are you spending your time? Most agents have no idea what their dollar per hour should be. And I will talk to agents all the time. Things like, well, I drove 2 hours out to Buckeye so I can sweep the driveway and make sure the house was clean before the buyer's final walkthrough. I'm like, couldn't have the seller line that up with a vendor that you could provide? Like, what if you spent that 4 or 5 hours? What if you would have spent those 5 hours prospecting? I don't know. Could you like made more money if you went on 2 or 3 appointments in that time? So it's like with the structure, you need to look at your calendar. For me, you have to look at energy levels. Sometimes, I think most of the time, we're all going to have more energy in the morning, especially if we're following a structured morning routine. I don't have anything crazy complicated. Mine's wake up at 5 a.m. I'm in the car by 5:30 a.m. I'm listening to my podcast, which gets me in the car because I'm always interested. And I always give myself to leave once I get to the gym. But of course, I've never done that. I even give myself permission to leave if I want to quit early, and I've never done that either, right? And then I listen to my shower, listen to my Tupac, hit my quick to-do list, hit my Zooms, hit my calls, and the most important thing. So I have the most energy at the morning. So prospecting, follow up, but the big things you need to accomplish for that day, get it out right in the morning. And then you have your afternoons to spend things in appointments, more like activities to get you out of the office and into, living rooms, which is where you want to be. So with that, I also color code it. If it's a blue standard meeting, it's just blue. If it's self, it's yellow. If it's kids, it's purple. If it's prospecting, it's green. So I always know at a level Excuse me. So if you look at like my week, I always look at my week on Sunday. I get with my husband, my business partner, and we look at our weeks together. I'm like, do I have enough green? Am I having too much blue? Am I missing out the purple? Am I spending time with my family? So again, very structured. If I have a blank space in the day, I'm going to fill it. I also know I'm very creative, and creativity is like absolutely required for my role. I look at when I'm the most creative, which I know we're having this podcast in the afternoon, which typically is not my creative time to be on like camera or on calls. But because it's you, I'm like, I can do anything with your energy. Typically, I would spend this time creating content. When I disconnect from people, I can just go into my creative mode and I get really great content out. So it's finding your time blocks, your energy blocks, and having that structure, having that plan, knowing your clear goals. I want to sell more homes is not a clear goal. I want to sell 30 homes, but you don't know how you're going to get there is not a plan. So if you want to sell 30 homes, okay, great. How much commission, do you want to make? Okay, great. How many buyers do you want? How many sellers do you want? What's your average price point? What's your average commission? Let's break this down. And then what are the top 3 strategies to get there? Okay, Marci, you want to do open house as one of your top pillars. You want to do more Zillow direct connections on your 2, and you want to do your sphere number 3. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's break down sphere. Now, are you currently sending a newsletter out right now? Any kind of email newsletter out to your clients? How are you staying in touch?
Phone calls. I'm a phone call, video, text person.
So how many transactions is that bringing you right now?
How many? Well, let's see. Prior to now, as I'm getting back into it, and this has been something that's been great, is being able to call all my clients that I've kind of been not available for the past year and a half when I wasn't well, to just let them know that, hey, I'm still in the business. I haven't forgotten about them, but I really miss them, because something with me is with my clients, majority of my clients I have a really great connection with. There's always something that we connect on, so we have a really good relationship. So a lot of my business has been built on referrals. So it's really, they become friends. So it's literally, I do a video text just like I would to, my girlfriends.
This is like kind of like maybe an example. So we would say, okay, that's great. So you closed 3 transactions last year, but you're growing. You want to close, 13 from there. So what can we do to layer on to what you're currently doing? So you're already calling, following up. That's great. So one tactic that you can do is just use AI, which we, have Batter, which now we have ISAs. So follow-up integrations, YLOPO. So with that, are we all set up? Being, working in your database, say 2 hours a week. Can you have your 400 database completed within 30 days? Does that work? So then you put that down. Okay, great. What else can I do to grow my sphere business? Well, I already call. How about like a aftercare gift? So maybe 6 months in, I send them something for the holidays. Okay, great. Well, how about our client event? We do a lot of client events. Okay, this is a reason to call. Whatever it is, maybe you're going to do a small happy hour, take, some nice clients to a nice dinner, whatever it is. Let's just break down only 5 strategies, right? And for each strategy, you have to be very, very specific. Grow social media, and it's not specific, right? And then with the specificity, that specific goal, you're going to have a deadline, because without deadlines, it doesn't work. Now, you can't take this plan once, stash it into your folder, and not ever look at it again, right? Should go wherever you go, right? You need to have a standing appointment on your Google Calendar that you stay true to, that you analyze your business plan on a monthly basis. Are you sticking to deadlines? Go into your calendar. If your calendar says prospecting tomorrow at 10 and you just put out escrow fires for 2 hours instead, go reconcile. Change that prospecting to checking email. So again, this is how we business plan. This is how an entrepreneur business plans.
This is such a great document. I mean, I know we've been using this for the last several years in our in our once a year like business building. I think I know what document you're talking about. So I'm like, I think that would be helpful to anyone if they message Jen to get that document, because it's a clear plan of what you want to do. You know, Jen helped me from going from, 12 million my first year, I think it was 28 my second year, 36 million my third year. And I wouldn't have not been able to do that with like the structure that you have. And yes, like I am a motivated person. I don't need someone to motivate me. It's usually my why, what it is in that specific time. But I know that document, and it does keep your life organized. So you're like, okay, what do I need to do? You got your top 3 things to move your business forward, and then you're not doing something that's not going to move your business forward.
And have accountability. I'm a heavy believer we all need accountability. I don't care how disciplined you are. One way I do it is I'm going to block red deadlines on any deadline key project on my calendar. Second thing is I need someone to keep me accountable on top of that. Think about this, like, on Thursdays, I really don't have a lot of options to go to the gym. So I'm like going to hike by myself. Do you know how many times I miss my hike by myself Thursday?
You'll go if you're going to meet someone, because you're going to do it for them, not yourself. Yeah.
Monday through Wednesday, I'm at the gym at 6 a.m. because my trainer and my business partner, are counting on me. So it's like, who is going to keep you accountable to your business goal? Is it going to be accountability group? If you don't have a team, if you're a team, how is your team going to keep you accountable? Keep your team leaders accountable. Keep yourself accountable. But you love hearing me say this, but accountability is the highest form of love. What would Jesus do? And what I heard, recently we all heard, it was like, teach a man to fish. What I heard, it like really stood out to me, is teach a man to fish. Because that's when we start to see the compound effect of like teaching people not just how to fish and be tactical, but then how to teach others to fish, how to teach your kids, your family, your village. So
that's so true. And on our team we have agents Marcia, Ryan, Derek, Cleopatra, Greg, and many others who have stayed here for years, and we know that that's very rare in real estate. What do you think keeps people here?
I would definitely say those core values, that it's not just commissions. Obviously, you want to know that we're helping you generate business, and giving you leads is a big value. But like for us, it's like, I want like you to believe, like, think that like we're actually helped you build a business. You have leverage, you have a community, you have like supportive, like when you ask for something, you get things in a timely manner, you're heard, we get your feedback, we take your feedback. So, that's what I would say. And, I kind of left an agent out, but she also exemplifies this, is Jenna. So Jenna came to our team October, November last year. She's 22 years old, fresh out of college, very goal-oriented, very ambitious. She shows up, I already saw she showed up to everything, notes, taking action. So I took her under my wings. Oh my gosh, what is she at now? 16 million, something like that. 17. Been in our top 10, all within 6 months, against agents that some of our agents on our team have been in the business for like 25 years. So yeah, no, it's like, and we ask her, they're like, what did you do? And she's like, oh yeah, I did what they told me to do.
Yeah, I did. I got to chat with her, and because I hadn't got to meet her yet since being back, and she's like, it's a grind, but she loves it.
And her name is Jenna Marie. She has a different last name, but my name is obviously Jen Marie, and she's just looks just like me. She calls me her work mom. So yeah, I'm like, you are me like 38 years ago. Or
that is so, and I'm Marci Marie. That's exactly what we were talking about at the printer the other day, last week. So we're like, that's wild. So what do you believe agents need today that they're not getting enough of in our industry?
It goes back to that collaboration. Are like, a lot of teams and brokerages like, yeah, we have a lot of collaboration. They were like, yeah, RE/MAX has a lot of trainings and masterminds. When I went there, it was like a stuffy broker meeting, and like agents that just felt like they were competing against each other. I literally in RE/MAX found an agent going through my office late at night trying to spy and see why I was so successful. So I'm like, that's not collaboration. So sometimes you don't know if people are for real until you experience it for yourself. That's like why when I'm like, agents considering our team, I'm like, look, everyone's going to tell you this, who actually delivers it. Come to our team meeting, come to any of the training we have, meet our agents, see what kind of value we provide. and you'll feel it in your gut, we'll go over everything. It's about you. But just come and experience it for yourself. It sells people like 4 out of 5 times. So with that, yeah, I think that answers your question. I know where.
Yeah. What's the biggest mistake you see agents making today?
To be honest with you, is being lazy. And I know a lot of agents might not think they're lazy. I see a lot of agents that go to every training that's ever done, or go to every brunch or happy hour, but they're not taking action. A lot of people like to talk about it. I find very, very few are willing to commit to it. If you have true hunger, like insatiable, there's nothing that will content you. You are hungry and you are committed. Those are the 2 top things that every agent has. Like committed, I mean like for real. I don't mean like, yeah, I'll do it. I mean like you show up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. That's what it is. It's not freedom and easy money, because okay, when you first get into real estate, great, yeah, you have a lot of freedom of your time. Which 12 hours of the day do you want to work? It's like you have to earn your freedom, and you're only going to earn your freedom from discipline and action. So keep yourself accountable. One thing I do is, the Christmas exercise. So you're sitting around Christmas. It's like the best Christmas ever. What would have had to happen for you to have that best Christmas? You're looking at your family. Your kids you're in a cabin in Aspen, and your kids are able to open up gifts they're super excited about. Okay, great. Like what would have had to happen? Second of all, let's flip it. So you're at Christmas, your kids are getting top ramen for presents, you're sitting in the house with a leaky AC. What does that look like for your family? What does that look like for your kids? Can your kid not go to camp? What did you do because you didn't show up for the things that you said you were going to do, not just for you, but for your family? So those are the kind of things I think that I see missing, is just agents that don't commit. A lot of comfortable, I'm seeing it so much right now, and I'm not just talking about new agents. I'm talking about some successful agents too. But they're reaching ceilings or reaching growth, limitations because they got comfortable. I'll have a really great opportunity, and I'll see somebody be like, "Oh, I don't have time." Really, you don't have time? I launched this in 2 weeks, and it took 2 hours of my own time. I already had the playbook for you. So it's literally stop being comfortable. Step back. Remember why you got into this in the first place. Did you want to be one of those mediocre agents selling 6 homes a year with a polyester suit and a glamour shot that's 30 years old? No, it's let's be a part of the new guard. Let's be an actual entrepreneur, not just a slave to a job. Anyone can go have a job. Let's have it, not just a career, but businesses, wealth, legacy.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, and I do know probably different seasons of different life. Maybe they're not hungry because they are comfortable with where they're at. Yeah, so I can definitely see that. If you could coach every agent in America for 5 minutes, what's the one thing you would tell them?
One thing I would tell them? I don't know about the one thing. So the one thing I would ask them is why are you doing this? What do you want to get out of this? What do you want? What do you want out of this? And if there's been a lot of good agents that have come to us, but their passion wasn't there. They didn't like the risk or the pressure, and that's okay. They wanted to live a more quieter life, and that's okay. But if you really want it, and it's important enough to you to push yourself through the most greatest challenges ever, there's going to be tons of failures ahead. It's going to be steep, rocky paths. It's not oh, this is the right path. It's the nice sunshine gold. No, it's the dark, treacherous, evil and forest, sometimes. But you get through there, and you get through there together. But you gotta want it, and you gotta be willing to do what it takes.
Yeah, that's so true. Now we're going to talk about failures. Tell us one setback that completely changed your perspective.
It goes back to the 2008 lesson. And the biggest lesson was that I was not around the right people. I wasn't around bad people. I had an assistant, and that's all I had. My broker wasn't building business, so I'm who was I talking to? So yeah, that would be for every failure. It's I just wasn't in the right rooms, and that's simply it.
Which I don't even like that word, because I don't feel like there's a failure. I feel like, from everything we can learn from, and that's how we grow. So I don't particularly like that word, but it definitely can help change perspectives moving forward.
Absolutely.
What's something people assume about successful team leaders that simply isn't true? This is a great one. So if there's any team leaders, or if there's any agents that are on a team that aren't sure, and they just think like, what's something people assume about successful team leaders that simply isn't true?
That we sit back and drink margaritas while everyone else is working. I assure you, we're probably working 100 hours a week sometimes. But no, it's not. We try to make it as good as possible, right? But backstage can be a chaotic, shit show. So it's it might look fun and easy, getting to the front of the room to give people's speeches, but it's no, there's a lot of grit and hustle that goes behind the scenes. And leadership is not for the faint of heart. It's not for everybody, and you could lead in smaller ways. But if you want to be a bigger team leader, you're gonna have to just be obsessed with being very serious with yourself, with self-awareness and looking at yourself for the good things. But what are you not doing? How can you have more awareness to be a better leader? So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I would say you have the biggest risk. You're putting the biggest risk in. Because
and not everyone, if you are risk intolerant, no, there's probably better avenues that will really, get you to your success and happiness you want. You gotta be, you gotta take a leap of faith. You've gotta be able to take risks. They can be calculated risks, but there's no certainty in anything. You buy an investment property as $300,000 of equity. Who knows if there's a world war or interest rates skyrocket to 25%. You cannot predict what's going to happen, but you start saying yes to some right things, not just one, but a number of right things. You're going to be hedging your bets, and you're going to be in a much stronger position in any economy, in any market, including things like recessions or even depressions or war, where they say more millionaires come out of recessions than ever in the good times.
Yeah. So who is this podcast for?
It's for any agent, team leader, entrepreneur in the industry. Obviously, we're all focused on real estate. But again, it's building iconic businesses, personal lives, and really living with that happy, the iconic lifestyle. If I haven't mentioned, forgot health and fun. Let's be healthy. I'm going to live to at least 110 if it's not plane crash or something. So, but I want to be a gymnast up until the day I die. Maybe I die doing a back handspring off a cliff. And
oh my goodness. I'm still so impressed. I pulled the back muscle just watching that. So you've already name dropped so many books. I just want to get them at one place where someone can write them down. So who has influenced you the most as a leader? Books, mentors, experiences?
I'm a reader. I've been a reader. I've been a writer. I've been an author. I probably own over 1,500 books. Books are my top gifting. There's a number depending on, I actually have a book list. So that's what I'll share. I'll upload that in the show notes. But I'm too passionate. It's hard to say just one, right? I don't have the favorite, but I have a number of favorites, both from Marcus Aurelius, for example, is one of my favorites. He was the philosopher king, the most beloved emperor of Rome, and the last great emperor of Rome. But he led through famine, through war, and he was able to have the most thriving society at that time. So I've learned a lot from people in history, but reading, and then podcasts. Sometimes I do endurance, so it might be 3-4 hours sometimes, and I'll listen to long form podcasts. And so I'm intaking information every day. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and Napoleon. Napoleon's a great one.
Napoleon Hill, I've got every book he has. And Leonardo da Vinci.
There was one you mentioned recently at our team meeting. It was a test that you take for your genius. Can you recall that one? 6
types of working genius, which was pretty revolutionary for me in my business, and not just for me, but with my husband and my operations team to see. So basically, you have 6 there's 6 geniuses. Two of them are going to be your geniuses, where you should spend the most time, you get the most joy, you're the best at it. Then you'll have 2 where it's like, okay, I can spend a little time here. I'm not that great at it, but I need to limit it. And then you have your 2 weaknesses where you should not be spending your time. So one thing I had found out is like, I was pretty much doing a good job of staying in my strengths, which were inventor, ideas, and galvanizer, getting people excited, but my husband wasn't. But when we looked at it, his strengths were my weaknesses and vice versa, so we were a really good match. But you need to see, like, not just you, but like, are you in your strengths and your weaknesses? Identify that, because I'm sure like a lot when you look into it, you'll see like, yes, that was stealing my joy. Yes, I'm not the detail-oriented person. I miss like multiple initial, you know, and it's like, okay, how do I leverage off a TC so I can do what I do best? You know, but then I'm like, oh, my admin, maybe their job description didn't fit what they were good at. Maybe it was like the tasks that they had, but you're able to discover like, okay, so it's really easy read, especially if you skip straight to the back. Take the $25 assessment. I don't get any money for saying this, but don't be cheap. It's so easy to digest. It's made for high D agents. You could probably read this in like an hour and a half if you go to the back. So just do it.
I'm doing it. That's on my list for sure. What do you hope listeners experience every time they tune into the Iconic Agent Living?
I hope that they learn something, obviously, that they're taking something away that they can truly implement. And it's just like really like, yeah, like sparking that curiosity, you know, discovering their own unique path, discovering their own unique gifts, you know, touching them on a professional level, but on a personal level too.
And tell us about the kinds of guests you're going to meet on the podcast.
Oh, we already have some stellar, you know, from you, our agents on our team, our agents in our network. We've got, you know, we'll have like our founder on, our CEO, our mentors, agents across the nation and now world. And it's going to be agents, team leaders, luxury agents, so many different agents that specialize in so many different things, but all true leaders in this industry.
So this is going to be a great podcast for all real estate agents or team leaders to tune into, because they're going to be able to take away something.
Absolutely.
What conversations are you excited to have? Which you kind of just like shared who you're going to have on, but is there a particular, like someone that you're bringing on, the CEO or someone that you're going to be bringing on that you're really excited to have?
I'm excited to have all of you. I will say that Elon Musk is on my list, so when I get him. I'm important enough. Like, you know, maybe I'll just be like, hey, normal person, just please give me your time.
We'll get him on.
Oh, yeah. The one thing I would promise is an interesting conversation. I'll be like, I guarantee you it's interesting, or I don't know, you could sue me. I don't know.
No surface level conversations. It's getting into his mind.
Just put something out on your tweet and I'll be embarrassed.
Yeah. Hey, why should someone subscribe? What promises are you making to every listener?
I promise that you will take something away on every single episode.
All right. 5 years from now, if this podcast becomes everything you hoped it would be, what impact will it have?
Well, you know, so if you had to ask me if you could do any job in the world, what would it be? I would have Joe Rogan's job. So I really want this to be a podcast that I'm committed to. This isn't just some fly-by-night project. I want to spend a lot of time on this being one of my big channels where I'm spending my time, energy, marketing, and really growing my relationships with, you know, now I'm so excited across the world now. You know, I think we're in like 39 countries, EXP. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Spending more time. I'm supposed to be a grandma soon. You know, with my 4 kids and now my son-in-law, and maybe I have a possible son-in-law with my second daughter. So in any case, yeah, that's kind of what I want my 5-year picture to look like. Keep in mind, you know, this is a great quote, is most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 5 years or 10 years. So in 5 years from now, I don't know exactly where it's at, but I'm just praying to God every day, and He gives us a lot of clues. Like it, you know, my path gets open and open and open. And the more I'm just like plug in, you know, to like all the spiritual practices, you know, the business practices, like everything, the bigger my future gets. So who knows, who knows where it's at. It doesn't end in real estate. I know bucket list items are to do things like gymnastics, always challenging myself. I've already written one book. I want to publish many, many books in the future, especially with my assistant, like Chat and Claude. They're really great editors. I love them so much. So yeah, big things, Marci. We're going to do it together. We're going to do it and we're going to have fun.
I cannot wait. All right, this is the rapid fire. All right, complete these sentences.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Let's go.
All right. Success is
one word or no? Just
rapid fire. No, just kidding.
Gosh. Okay, I feel like sometimes I'm like saying like the same thing, so let's go. Okay, so success is being the best version you can be.
Leadership is
evolving all the time. Never stops evolving.
An iconic life is
happy, healthy, wealthy, and meaningful.
One book every agent should read.
It now has been the meaning of your life. Fraction number 2.
Favorite quote.
The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. And that is Sir Marcus Aurelius.
Coffee or tea?
Black coffee in the morning with cinnamon powder, iced green tea in the afternoon.
Beach or mountains?
That is a hard one, so I pick both. The mountains that are on the beach.
Morning or night?
Oh gosh, no. That's hard. Tide. Morning is my energy and fun. My imagination and lunar brain comes out about 7 o'clock and I go into complete creative crazy mode. So afternoon, not so good. Morning and night, you got me.
What's one thing people don't know about you?
Gosh, probably a lot. Probably not. I put it all out there, but I am an introvert, by the way. I am if you know the disc, I'm a 99D. I only ever go down to like a 95D, so it never changes. My 99I goes all the way down to 10 when I'm like ready, like it's been enough, and I have no SRC like ever. But I need my time alone to recharge. Sometimes people know if like you reach out to me on the weekends or in the evening, like I'll probably like not respond until like the next business day. But my mom knows, like she'll call me and text me and I don't respond, and she's like, I know how you are and it's okay. But yeah, I'm not the one that, like, I know sometimes when I get invited to parties, I get there, I do all my greeting, and then I look, 20, 30 minutes later, I'm like, can I do the Irish goodbye now? It's like, yes, I'm sorry guys, I'm an introvert. I don't want to be here for 3 hours. I'm going to die.
That's so funny. I'm the same way. If you weren't in real estate, what would you be doing?
It would either be Joe Rogan, or it'd be a CIA, like opera, like in another country taking down terrorists or something.
Oh, that's good. I can see that. Jen, you've poured so much into the agents over the years. If this was your only podcast episode someone has ever listened to, what's one message you'd leave with them?
Believe in yourself always.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We totally appreciate you and all your hard work.
Love you, Marci. Thank you for listening, guys. Super excited. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on socials, and let's connect. And I promise a lot of fun and a lot of value.